Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at latest LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister,
Hello.
Cinders,
Hello.
and Sanswinda.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Are you ready to talk about patch notes?
Yes.
Hooray.
Woohoo!
Okay.
They were energizing last time. Hopefully we're good this time.
Yes. All right. But we're going to start with a little note from SSG, where SSG says, "We want to thank you for your patience and support during the 64-bit server openings and character transfers, which you can read more about at the link in their letter. We will have some work to do, including opening transfers from previously closed worlds and to these new 64-bit servers, opening rotating weekly transfers between the various worlds, and opening a fourth 64-bit server based in the United States." They're counting Angmar as one of the 64-bit servers, which is why they're saying fourth. However, we wanted to thank you for your patience so far by offering the following to all players: 50 mithril coins, Lesser Elixir of Virtue, 2500 Virtue XP, Pick a Mount box, Universal Ingredients packs times 20, and 5 Black Steel keys.
That was
Players
the part.
can.
Nice.
That was the part I was most excited about when I read it.
Oh, those keys?
Mm-hmm. I have loot boxes to open up.
All right. So you've chosen a character then?
Is there any question?
Yeah, right? Yes. Players can claim this free gift through May 18th, 2025. To claim this gift, use the coupon code THANKYOU2025. So THANKYOU 2025 in 2025. I should abbreviate that when I'm during a literal reading there, in the redeem code field of the LOTRO store inside the game. The coupon code can be used once per account. Please make sure to redeem this gift on the character that you want to receive the gifts. So be logged into a character and use the code while you are in the store for that character.
In other words, maybe don't use it on your monster player character.
I am
could be
hoping that
different.
they will prevent you from doing that. But just in case there is a bug that's not preventing you from doing that, yes, please avoid doing it on your monster character. So if you either have a character that you want a specific mount that's in the pick a mount box, or okay, the 50 middle coins goes to whichever server that character is on. Let's see. Yeah, I think most of these are going to be bound to accounts. So as long as you're on the right server, you might be able to be fine on whatever you do. But I would suggest being on the right character, just in case I am wrong about them all being bound to account. Anyway, that's a little thank you for your support during these trying times in there. So now that means let's head into the Bulwer number 2 release notes. I did not read the Bulwer number 1 release notes last week, so I'm going to consider everything here fair game, but I'm not going to read it in full detail simply because there's going to be a release next week. Update 44 is coming out next week. So I'll just hit the highlights here. First off, Update 44 is the Crown of Hamat, and this beta includes the new 6-player instance, Alalia's Market Refresh, quests, missions, and more. Also enjoy a first look at our festival refreshes, a reputation bonus system for VIPs, and the new legendary reward track for season 14, which I guess they are getting that all prepped up because the track shouldn't be opening up in the main servers until May, as far as I can tell. For the Crown of Hamat, in the new storyline spanning 25 quests, the Equiband Valley is under threat from a new evil, the enigmatic Barshu II of Ekmat. Explore the story of Mazadi Shara of Hamat renewed as she fights for her people and attempts to bring peace to Shagana. Unlock 12 additional side quests when you complete the Crown of Hamat quest, A Grim Morning in Iridir. Okay. So therefore, we have the Crown of Hamat, and that's going to be the main storyline in there. Also, they're testing a new instance, Dune Shuma, the King's Fortress, which is a 6-player instance. The hostile forces of Ahmad have claimed Dune Shuma, the hidden fortress of Menun Shuma III. No, I don't expect you to remember all these names. The ancient ruin is said to hold many historical treasures of the kingdoms of Shikana. Though Barshud has retreated, his Umumi still stand opposed to Mizadi's quest to claim the crown of Hamad. Now, a note on this instance. This instance is not slated for update 44. That instance is slated for update 44.1, which is going to be a few weeks later. And the reason for that is they don't want it to come out too soon after the opening of the tier 3 of the raid. In fact, tier 3 of the raid, I think, is that out yet, or is that another week before they're releasing that? So I haven't been following the raid all that close. But anyway, they certainly don't want to release the new instance right away because they didn't want to clash, because you have all those people who are going for the lead the charge on the raid, and so they don't want to release a new instance at the same time, so that would be a clash in that matter. Also, there is the legendary Mirkwood. They're testing out the legendary changes for Mirkwood. I will get to those later on. And as for reputation, favorite standing enhancement. As part of the release of the Legacy of Morgul 2024, we added a new VIP feature for players. To celebrate the 18th anniversary of The Lord of the Rings Online, we have added this feature to nearly all of the reputations throughout the game. The favored reputation system grants all characters on VIP level accounts a bonus once one character of your account has achieved at least friend rank with a reputation faction. Along with the factions that were introduced with the system, the following factions are now provided bonuses to all characters. Then they give this long list, which, as far as I can tell, is every regular faction in the game. I think there might be one or two factions that are really, really niche and for very, very special items in here that might not be in here, but just about any reputation group you could think of is in here. So
They did specify down at the bottom that the sub factions for Dol Amroth and Host of the West are not going to be included at this
okay.
time. If that saves you any time sorting through.
Okay, yes. There you go. Yes, please note that sub-factions of Dol Amroth and the host of... Okay, so that's a pretty small subset of those. Okay, so all those Dol Amroth ones that you do in that special in-game content in there aren't included in there. All right. So all the main factions, though, they are included in there. So there's a huge list here that I'm not going to read out at this time. There's also a festival refresh. The 18th anniversary celebration, new for LOTRO's 18th anniversary event, are 6 seasonal missions. Each mission is inspired by a low-level quest and is available to characters level 20 plus, with the delphines available at level cap. Talk to the hooded stranger inside the prancing pony to run these missions and enjoy the quests of yore in a new way. All right, so 6 All right, six. So therefore, six low-level quests, but inspired by low-level quests in there. So I get. Let's see what low-level quests they decide to do a little refresh to for this little seasonal enjoyment. Also, for the Midsummer Festival, new for this year's Midsummer Festival, you're invited to visit the far-off tropical island of Furtherholm, located in the Shield Isles off the coast of Umbar in the Bay of Balfalas. A crew of freebooters have retired from a life of sea to open the island as a retreat for travelers from all parts of Middle Earth. Come enjoy the sun and surf and collect rewards for lending a hand. To start this new summer adventure, talk to Ikhajat in front of the city stables of Minas Tirith's Midsummer. She can also be found at the Party Tree Thorns Hall Inn, inside the Prancing Pony, and the Festival Garden in Dwarland. So those are the two festivals that they are testing. The refresh one, obviously the 18th anniversary one is the more important one since that is going to be coming up right away. And the Midsummer one, well, it's a few more months before we have to worry about that. All right, so those are the highlights. So now let's go into the release notes themselves. Of special note, the Chargan music on the Karagen music, sorry. The Karagen music on non-legendary servers has been updated for our anniversary with a new track that celebrates LOTRO's musical journey. And of course, on the legendary worlds, they're still going to have the old. I think they used the original music on the legendary worlds for the for those for the class updates. For the lore master, the Aurochs pet should now interact correctly with all lore master traits and skills. And for the Runekeeper Static Surge now has a 10 target cap limit. It will now correctly benefit from traceries and other bonuses to target counts. Now, concerning the Lore Master, the only Aurochs pet that I know of for Lore Masters is a Spirit Aurochs, or is there something that I don't understand?
I was sitting here going, "There's an Aurochs pet. How do I get one?"
I think they're referring to the Aurochs Spirit variation of the Spirit pet is my guess on the matter. But if someone knows of any other Aurochs pet that the lore masters have, I mean, other than a cosmetic one, obviously,
Yeah.
then please send us
Please let us
send
know.
us a reply. Yeah, please let us know. Yeah,
We really want one. It sounds awesome. Cinders needs one, clearly.
Yes. I try to think, would it be a substitute for a bear if there was a damaging one? I mean,
maybe
that's the only one I could think of.
Because really, the bear just is a damage soak.
Right. So I could see an Aurochs filling the same role.
Yeah.
All right. For events, a change to the Thorn Hall's hardtack event now provides an uncooked version of the dish. Brew and snack before using the ovens. You will not get the final product until the item is successfully delivered to the tables. Apparently, some people were trying to cheat the system.
What? In that event? Just wait till you get to the next one. This is cracking me up.
We have reworked the Coon Forester event as follows. The event will begin every hour on the hour. A call will go out to Breeland when the event begins recruiting and at the 8 and 2 minutes to begin marks. Axes still need to be collected. Using the wood piles while you have the axe grants you unrefined wood. Using the competition workbenches while you have the event axes grants you refined wood. Aldith will collect the axe and the refined wood before you move to the next stage. You must have a tool which allows skinning, universal, or a forester's axe equipped to skin the bears. You must have a tool which allows skinning, universal, or a forester axe equipped to refine the bear hides. And the event countdowns, cooldowns, and statuses should no longer fall out of sync with the servers.
And we will be
And
very specific because you keep not doing it right, guys. Hey, they went like months though. I'm pretty impressed. So instead of like the changes like every single week or whatever, like every month or however frequently it was, where it was like a joke, like they've gone a while now before they had to rework it. So I mean, there is that to say for the Forester event.
that this time it took them several months before making the changes.
For it to become so problematic that they had to make changes.
Yes.
And frankly, I'm now very curious to go see what exactly is happening at this Forester event and why it would be worth messing around and trying to not do it correctly. Like, what is the reward for it that makes it worth doing?
Oh, I don't know. Not do it correctly. That's a very euphemistic way of saying cheating.
It is. I didn't want to say cheating because looking at this, it could be that somebody was just confused and not like intentionally trying to cheat, but still wasn't doing it the way they were supposed to. Because they had to be so explicit. Like you need to use the axe at the wood pile to get unrefined wood, guys. It won't work if the axe is not in your inventory.
But what if I wanted to?
My awesome hands. No. Okay.
All
Sorry.
right. For combat and monsters, goblin sappers in the Vales of Anduin no longer stay in overhead pose after throwing their fire pots. Applying a new daze to an already dazed target will no longer cause the dazed visual effects to be removed. And Gundabad Bat Riders now use bat-specific animations for their special attacks.
What if I want my character to use bat-specific animations for all of my attacks?
Your character?
Your character would need to be.
Can you imagine a trample? Can you imagine a trample coming in from a bat?
I can't imagine a bat trampling at all.
Well, then you're a prime candidate.
It would have to be their sonic.
Yeah, maybe they sonically blast you.
Yeah,
that stun you, and then they tickle you.
Well, it should produce a knockback, is what it should do. If that was going to be the case, when it squeals at you.
Sorry, pilot.
Okay. For crafting, all versions of the Umbari Feast have been standardized to a minimum level of 141 with no max level.
Oh.
All right. For quests, deeds, and adventure areas, in the elf tutorial instance, the refuge of Etheliona, I think that A is redundant. Talagan Silvertongue will no longer turn to face you when he is kneeling.
Rude.
Well, I mean, it's very hard to turn around quickly when you are kneeling.
I didn't say you should do it quickly. I'm just saying you should definitely kneel to him. There's no other way to talk to her. Unless you want to talk down to her, which is just rude.
Oh.
Well, you could use some kind of bullhorn or...
Yes, but he'd still be talking down to her.
Okay.
Get it? Because she's so short. Wow.
The Lothorian quest, Malverthrill Saplings and Songs of the Saplings should now both function correctly. The quests on the Mission Weekly and on a continuing Mission Weekly have been updated to accept the new Crown of Hamant missions. And the quest Forging a Path in the Ecobound Valley Weekly has been updated to remove bounties and accept new Crown of Hamat missions. Oh, okay. So it's only going to be missions then, and the bounties are no longer going to be part of it. Okay. Completing either existing Ecobound Valley or Crown of Hamat missions will progress this quest. Note, this will version the weekly quest upon release, causing weekly progress to be reset. 4 instances and skirmishes. Hotspots visually updated for clarity. Tools Zakana, the Well of Forgetting, or the High Sorcerers in the Well of Forgetting no longer attempt to use shadow skills for which they do not have appropriate animations. Consuming Fire now has a slightly longer delay before it activates, and consuming fire damage is reduced by 20%. For Osdorath, Gorthron now reaches maximum power much more quickly, and his power effects are less potent and more clearly named. Sarasurma removed a few inductions and sped up the Cold Bear's overall skill usage. Cold Bear's Reflect now has an induction, and the Reflect zone lasts for 5 seconds. Cleaned up Osan's essence of skills so that it's clearer which skills are gained from which auras and which effects are applied by each essence skill. And Lesser White Reflex only return 5% of incoming damage to the player. Setting an instance to duo will now be based on the solo difficulty and rewards rather than on the 3-player values. Note that duos can still freely play 3-player instances if they desire the additional challenge and rewards. Or likely they desire the additional rewards, not the additional challenge, but okay. Utukbur Wing 2 Thurheen. Weeping Poisons now deals acid damage. Eruption can no longer target Legolas. Frenzied Axe now correctly tears up a bleed. Shield of Blood now prevents blood rupture. Please note, when I say now, I mean obviously once the update goes live.
That will
which is
definitely
going to be
help
sometime next week.
Legolas out.
Yeah. Utukberg Wing 3 Inner Sanctum. Plague Aura damage reduced on tiers 2 and 3. Reduce the number of mobs that can apply the targeted Purge Hope effect. Adjustments to Boss 2 at all tiers. Nodules reaching blisters will now apply a stun to players for 5 seconds and apply a tier of True Despair to players in a slightly larger area. Nodules reaching blisters will now explode and deal raid-wide damage. Nodule damage from exploding has been increased, and no blisters or fragments are available from nodules to attack. They will now default to attacking players or pets. And adjustments to Boss 2, Tier 3, the skill Drain Reason will now randomize targets when it is multicast. This should reduce a single target being hit by all of the skill plays simultaneously.
That
For
would
missions
suck so bad. I'm glad they fixed that. I haven't played it, but just looking at that would suck so bad.
And for missions and delvings, rubble piles in the Gunabad mission clearing a path can no longer be forced to turn with the burglar diversion skill. I mean, really? I guess my burglar, when running that one, never thought about trying to divert the rubble.
How does that even work?
I don't know.
Let me throw a rock at you and the whole pile just rolls away. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure what was happening there. I don't know if this is going to come up again before the release of the update, so I have no idea if there's any opportunity in order to try to witness that. Housing and decorations. The long Umbari marble ramp and decoration item can now only be used in enormous yard hooks, interior wall hooks, and interior furniture hooks. 4. Items and rewards. The housing reward for the Life Unlived quest line has been updated to take the user to Rafuz and Ashami at their location as mission givers.
Thank you.
From there, players can use the lectern to access the story instances. Where was it sending you before?
Remember, we had to go find them? And now it looks like it'll just teleport you to there.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, that's right. We did have a lot of trouble there too. No, they're talking about the housing reward that you get at the end of it.
Oh. We got a housing reward for it?
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Barter costs have been adjusted for many pieces of generic, uncommon, and rare skirmish equipment bartered with marks and medallions. In what direction have they been adjusted?
I don't know.
I guess I'm going to have to do some research on this one to know.
I have a question for you. Speaking of skirmish equipment, do people at the higher levels actually still use the skirmish equipment?
Well, seeing that after level 105, they no longer increase, it would be. I don't think anyone would use it at all as you get past 105.
I feel like I've used it to like level 20, and then after that, it was kind of irrelevant compared to what could be picked up on landscape.
I will say that I think I have used it a couple of times up until 80. I think once you hit 86, that's when you have this wild divergence because the skirmish equipment is going up by its old curve, I think, and equipment in general just skyrockets in another direction completely. So, yeah, I would say 85, my guess is to the highest level where you would have to be pretty desperate to use it. Maybe I should test that at some point. But I know that my level 80 character just this week did actually go out and get skirmish equipment. Though I have to admit that that was mainly because that character had not done any questing for about 20 levels. All I had done were skirmishes with that because I only used it in a group, and that when that group meets, we do skirmishes. So all my equipment was woefully out of date. So, yes. So let's just say it's a fringe case in using it.
Okay. Let's say, because I'm looking at this, it makes it sound almost like, oh, you would absolutely go out and spend stuff on that. But I don't know that I've ever really done that. So I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I hope that they're not adjusting them upward, the cost upward, because there's not going to be even less worth the cost. Okay. Many pieces of level 60 equipment were being given invisible stat benefits beyond those that the tooltip suggested. This has been fixed, so your character stats should update in accordance with the values seen on your equipment.
Hey, I would have been very okay with having invisible stat benefits. Why are you so awesome at this? I don't know. I just am.
Yes.
Players still right here.
Visit the new Hamadi Quartermaster in Iridir in the Equiband Valley for new rewards, including housing items, Tome of Evergreen Sicklefly, and Tome of Russet Corgi available for completing Crown of Hamat quests and missions.
I want the Corgi.
And I noticed when I was on there, when I talked to the mission barterers, that they actually now have real rewards, meaning and some that could actually be used by lower level characters, because one of the biggest headaches I had with those missions is that there was absolutely no rewards that you could get if you were below level 150. And this is despite the fact that missions are available from level 20, 21 up. But now it looks like that every 10 levels they have some equipment that you can get there so they have a level 20 version, a level 30 version, a level 40 version, a level 50 version on up. So there's at least something that's usable there now. Now, the question is how relevant that equipment is compared to what you can get on landscape. I have not gone through and checked on that, especially considering that I looked at during the first week of testing and everything's subject to change. For PMP in the Etmors, monster player damage and healing has been increased by about 7.5%. Monster player traits and effects have been updated to level 525 equivalent values. For the landscape, miscellaneous terrain texture issues in Eriador have been resolved. Miscellaneous decoration and floating source node issues in Kudzagin have been fixed. Miscellaneous pathing issues in Utug Bur have been resolved. And Wildemore now displays as Wildemore when entering the region and on the Stable Master panel. What was it saying before? I don't know.
I think it was a McDonald's advertisement.
Okay. Localization for French. Secure the landing of Cure Azar. Turn in dialogue now displays correctly, and translations for light damage in French have been updated.
That's like the fourth time they've updated light damage
Yes.
in French.
Yes.
I think there might be some disagreement on how to write light damage.
Yes. There must be quite a debate going on in the forums or something like that on how best to word that.
Or if you think about it, it could be like specific instances, right? So you might have like light damage, like this is going to cause like light effect damage, right? Or it's going to cause light damage, like minimal damage, and then trying to get it into the right spots might be part of the problem there.
That could be a possibility. Art and avatars. The command in the tooltip on the Grant the Epic Coin Flip emote item has been corrected to read /coinflip_epic. And fix the bug with the guards carrying lit torches to cause terrain lighting to flicker. As for miscellaneous items, NPCs inside the House of Craft and Minas Tirith Midsummer will no longer use incorrect pre-battle voiceover. That's good. It really scares the people if they all start thinking during the midsummer holiday that you're under siege. All banker NPCs can now repair items. Yay! Lorien now displays properly in the Basics of Birding Guide. And gamma, brightness, and contrast adjustments are now available in windowed mode. And that's it for the release notes. There'll be final release notes, of course, will be read next week when I say it's now available. I will mean that for real. Anybody have any comments on what's upcoming?
Well, you said that they were going to be testing a festival. So would that, in effect, be a testival?
Maybe.
Now we're all wondering.
Right. Yeah, we're all wondering. Yes, okay. But just remember is that, once again, The new instance is not going to be with update 44. That will be in update 44.1, which would be in a few more weeks. So keep that in mind. Also, I made a note in there that they're making some changes to Mirkwood for the legendary Mirkwood endgame. Endgame group content has been updated for the release of Mirkwood on the legendary servers Angmar and Mordor. Base health and damage have been increased for most monsters found within level 65 in-game instances, including those from the Mirkwood and in their absence content clusters. These changes should help to make these instances harder to complete without full groups when the player is at full level. In particular, the level 65 instance tiers have been updated so that tier 2 enhancement buffs has values more similar to Tier 2 mods found in later instance clusters. Tier 1 should likewise provide an easier stepping stone for groups that are struggling within the level 60 instances after they were updated. Also note, the End Wide region will be available immediately when the level cap increases to 65, but the In Their Absence instance cluster will not become available until June 4th. So the Mirkwood instances, they mean the work pens, the sword halls, the dungeons, Samazgul, and Barad Guldur. And the Init White instances in their absence are Stone Height, North Cotton Farm, Sarisuma, the Lost Temple, and Ulst Dunhoth. As for level 65 rewards, in-game equipment for level 65 has been revised and some items now have slightly different stats to better reflect current class designs. Completing instances in the Mirkwood cluster at level 65 will once again award you with medallions of Dol Guldur. Completing instances in their absence cluster at level 65 will once again award you with medallions of the Northmen. Note, not all barter vendors are updated to give you more items on which to spend these medallions. Raid armor sets can no longer be acquired with marks and medallions. You will need to earn the corresponding raid barter tokens for complete. So in other words, because what happened is that they had created the ability to use marks in order to get this Mirkwood stuff back when Mirkwood was no longer in-game content. So of course they want to undo all of that for the legendary servers. As with level 50 and 60 in the past year, sets are in the process of being revised with the current class designs in mind. In particular, heavy armor classes are likely missing raid set bonuses entirely in this build, so don't worry. Okay, they're just talking about specific build, and I think that will be it for that article. So they are tweaking things so that they'll be ready when they raise the level caps over on the legendary servers. So that is it for our news this week. So let's go into our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
This is your final weekend to get the Patron's Coffer of the Sands. If you are listening to this, though you on Monday you will have missed the sale. So it is available through April 20th, which is tomorrow for the folks in the US. And then also known across the land, you can get 20% off of plus 2,000 Virtue Acceleration, plus 5,000 Enhanced Reputation Supply, and plus 100% Mark Acquisition Boost now through April 24th. And the weekly coupon is for 1 Battle Potion of Restoration with the coupon code NOFEARS, NOFEARS, also through April 24th.
Thank you. Thank you, Cinders. So let's head into our week in gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
Well, I had the honor and pleasure of hanging out with Ken, talking to my friend's employee on Friday, talking about some strategy. They were having an incredibly hard time. I can't remember what dungeon they were doing now, but we ended up talking about when we had our Ken had practiced and practiced and practiced Ivar, and we'd gotten him down to a science. So I think what happened was they got defeated really badly, and we were trying to reminisce about better times to make ourselves feel better. But other than that, I've been building up a storm. It must just be spring, summer. The type of growth and adventure. So I've been building a bunch of stuff in Starship Evo and building a bunch of stuff in Enshrouded, and had a pretty good week. How about you, Cinders?
Well, I haven't done as much gaming as I wanted to this week, but I did play Enshrouded with everybody, and I rebuilt the base like I had hoped to last time. And I did go adventuring, but I might have just before the podcast started, I had another great idea for the base. So I may be tearing it down and restarting it again. And, it is what it is. And then I played Stardew Valley with Pineleaf and Sands, and we reached summer of year 1 on the world that we're playing together. And then I played a little bit with just Pineleaf, and we also made it to summer in year 1. And then in my independent game, I am in spring 1. And then I played a little bit of Cascadia, and I have now beaten through scenario 8. So I'm very proud of that. Sans, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. In LOTRO, I did a pretty good amount of cooking and farming this week, which was kind of fun, actually. And then I ate even more cake and ESO for event tickets, because that's kind of fun. Also, the cake looks really cool this year. It looks cool every year, usually, but I like this year's a lot. And made the little pet that you can make with the event tickets, too. And then I went exploring in Enshrouded and have been practicing flying with the Ghost Glider. And I'm really enjoying that. So that's pretty much my week. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right, my lore master continued through the Gondor storyline. I'm past Pelargir now, and I think I just arrived in Tumlauden, so making progress in that area. For Friday Night Fights, we ran several skirmishes, Trouble in Tuckborough, the Survival Barrel Downs, and then Stand at Amansul. And Stardew Valley, in addition to what I did with Sands and Cinders, I also was working on solo where I've completed my 3rd spring. So,
Yippee!
Yep. And I think I'm making pretty good. I have only 2 more items left for the last bundle before I'll have the community center finally built.
Just remember, Grandpa is coming.
Oh, no, he came a month. He came.
Oh, he already came?
a season. Yeah, he already came.
Okay, I thought he came at the end of year 3.
No, at the dawn of year 3.
Okay, what was your score?
3 candles.
Okay, cool.
That's pretty good. I think it's pretty hard to get 4 candles without finishing the community center.
I don't know. I don't usually maintain interest long enough to find out what my score is from Grandpa.
Anyway, he seemed to be happy with the results, at least for the wording on it. But it wasn't the perfect end. So I'm hoping that maybe I could finish the I think if I finish the community center and resummon him, then I can get the 4th candle to be lit. We'll see. Right now, though, I need an aquamarine and a fire quartz.
Oh,
in order to finish it.
Did you know that Go ahead.
What?
They can drop out of the mystery boxes.
Yeah, I've been opening up mystery box usually when I open up a mystery box, I get food.
Oh, I'm sorry. I opened one and got 2 fire quartz.
Oh boy, You're luckier than I am, then I guess when it comes to that thing because I haven't gotten any out of that yet. I've tried the traveling merchant, haven't seen any of that one. What's really surprising for me is that I did not get any aquamarines yet. I've gotten all the way down to level 50 in the dungeon. As Sen said, that once you get past level 20, it's real pain. It took me a long time to get past level 10. Everything was really brutal and all that stuff. But I think what happened is at one point I killed enough bugs to get the insect head. And once I had the insect head, I was able to rip through and get all the way down to level 50. So I got down to 50.
Insect head helps, even though the description. The insect head really helps, even though the description says is unpleasant to wield.
It may be unpleasant to wield, but it's equally unpleasant to who's wielded against.
It's also highly effective.
Yeah. As long as everybody's suffering.
Also, Mary Rose says, so glad I'm not the only one who's been playing StarCrack. We know the feeling.
Yeah. We know the feeling on that. But anyway, I did manage to. I got down to 50, and I would have thought that going between level 40 and 50 and opening up those ice geodes, frost geodes, or whatever they're called, that I would have gotten a aquamarine between that or an aquamarine node or something like this. But no, maybe I'll get something between 50 and 60 because I think I'm going to be on ice levels for the next 30 levels. So one of them will have to have it. And maybe I'll be lucky that an Omni geode will include a fire, or that the traveling merchant will carry one, because I presume that they have one on occasion, I would hope. But anyway, those are the last two items I need before I can finally finish up on the community center. And yay when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that concludes my week in gaming. If you'd like to send some feedback, you can send a comment to podcast@lotrplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Lotra Players News, and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You can join us for our shows at lotraplayers.com/live. That is all for tonight, and this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.